Welcome to the Latin MedTech Leaders Podcast, a conversation with leaders who have succeeded or plan to succeed in Latin America. Please subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, etc. Today, our guest is Widy Medina, co founder and CEO at Telebionix, the company developing the Remote Sense, the first all in one biometric device for personal monitoring and telehealth powered by artificial intelligence to measure multiple biomarkers such as SpO2, heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, ECG, and its stethoscope. Widy has a track record of success at companies like Tesla Motors, CR Board, Amgen, and others. So, Widy, I'm really, really delighted to having you here in the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Julio. I'm super glad to share a very beautiful morning with you.
Excellent. All right, Widy. So let's get started with your journey. How is it that you got to where you are today? I know you're from Puerto Rico. Your
Yeah,
personal link and involvement with Latin America, but tell us about
Julio, I'm still trying to understand that myself. How did I ended up here? it's it's such a I don't know, it's such a road that I travel. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to share humble beginnings, like you said, from Puerto Rico. Um, Family that has been working very hard. Second generation of higher education. So we're that kind of family that's trying to come up in the ranks to see what we can do in society to help. It started with something that was as distant as you can imagine to healthcare. Our family business was a machine shop, so that's the very basics of industrial support, right? So we started a small machine shop operation in Puerto Rico. I as every young kid, right? My dad kicked me out and say, "Go ahead and get some higher education." I came back from Georgia Tech with ideas of crazy ideas of automation, crazy ideas of robotics, and I was very lucky to have a receptive family that said, "Yeah, let's grow with it, right? Let's grow with
it.
it."
Yeah.
So we
It's a
did that.
privilege. I'm sorry
Oh
to
yeah,
interrupt, but just for the audience, I mean, to come out of Latin America and get accepted to Georgia Tech, that's quite an accomplishment.
yeah,
The
yeah. It
language
was.
barrier, the cultural barrier, the cost involved, and all that, and the vision, the
Yep.
vision.
It
Yeah.
was
So
a burden
congratulations.
to the
Yeah.
family. Thank you. It was a burden to a family. It was a great experience. Like I said, you come back with ideas that you know everything in the world, right? Uh, and how far away from the truth. But anyway, you you apply those ideas. Like I said, very receptive parents and family overall. They accepted the new craziness, and we were able to convert the machine shop into an automation house, right? So
Wow.
that was incredible, an incredible achievement. After a couple of years working, and I say a couple, not to mention like 20 or so, working there, I, that's as expected. So I rose the ranks from sweeping the floors,
I'm making
paying
coffee.
my dues,
Yeah.
from sweeping the floors to managing the company at some point. We decided to sell the company. We sold it to the employees, and the employees are
Nice.
today running the company, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
So that was a great experience there, and then I moved and pursue a opportunity in New York, company called Universal Instruments, and they are focused on electronics assembly, for high speed assembly for electronics and automation for electronics. That gave me such a view of technology and teams around the world, right? Like you said, Tesla worked there as a contractor for. They're very lucky to spend a lot of time developing some production lines for them. Then the same thing for Apple, which kind of pushed me about 4 years going back and forth between China and US.
Interesting. Yeah.
Extremely interesting. That was such an eye opening experience. Not only personally, Julio, but professionally. You get to see the great design of wearables, the great design of high tech, right? And then
That's the peak of human
exactly,
technology and innovation and design. Yeah.
exactly, and then get to go to the contract manufacturers and not only come with that design idea, but then implement, right?
Yeah.
Implement design for manufacturing, help manufacture a couple of their products in a very competitive environment. That really was the university, I would say, of life, right? That was I think where I really learned a lot. The true engineering was applied and learned there. um, and it opened doors to meeting the team that I have today, to engaging with people that had the same mindset. And eventually we found ourselves in the pandemic situation, and everything got shifted, right? um, when we got to that position, and everything just stopped for everybody in the world, we had the opportunity to discuss among the team, and find what can we do to help, right? What can we do that is different? And that's how Telebionix and Remosense were born, from answering that particular question, which I know eventually in this conversation we're gonna touch more on.
Sure. Yeah. Excellent, Witty. Fascinating journey. I mean,
Yeah,
I totally understand where you're coming from and the struggle that we have to sometimes go through from Latin America to jump to the places where you are now. So
definitely,
again,
definitely.
congratulations. I'm very proud of being in contact with you
Oh,
today.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, so Willie, let's talk about Latin America a little bit. Let's talk about the region. Let's talk about trends. What do you see happening in Latin America that is relevant to our discussion today about commercialization and innovation of medical technologies?
I think that when we talk about Latin America, we need to talk about culture, and then we talk about everything. We're unique. We are definitely unique. And it doesn't matter if you're from Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, from include Mexico and all Central American. Right? We are unique. We are unique in a sense that we are extremely passionate about what we do. That being from politics, social, sports, business, whatever you think about. We in Latin America, I've been lucky to travel the world, and every Latin culture, it's the same. We're extremely passionate, and that's I would like to start there, because that definitely defines the rest of the conversation. I see Latin American as a true land of opportunity right now. It's really a land of opportunity, and it depends on people in the positions like where I find myself today, to make sure that we make the best out of that. Right? We have we cannot continue to shift the responsibility of the future of Latin America to politics, to the social thing. We need to have people that are in positions of that can help, that can impact, to look at Latin America as a true opportunity, and then add value to it. Not only take value from it, right? Which has been a historical downfall of the purposes in Latin America, but to add value to it. So I think that, like I said, seeing it as a land of opportunity is key. People that are in management positions, that can see the opportunity to create markets, to design markets, to open markets, right? The the difference from before the pandemic is that the the overall world market was apparently understood by everybody, right? And Latin America was kind of not at the forefront of what was happening globally, right? Now, when after the pandemic situation, I think that the complete understanding of how world and global economics works, it's just shifted completely. And I think that Latin America has an opportunity to become one of the major players in that. I mean, the richness of the people that are in there, of the technical knowledge that it's in Latin America, the opportunities that the governments are now opening, right, to allow companies like mine to come in and truly work together, developing opportunities. That's why I said Latin America, we need to look at it as some fertile ground where we can define new markets for healthcare, for uh, automation, robotics, from high tech, technical applications, from different types of manufacturing. So it's not only in my current vertical that it's the healthcare vertical, but overall it's a key area to focus on. That's how I see it. That's how I see Latin America today.
Yeah, yeah, really, I agree with that 100%. I think the region is maturing or has matured
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
It's ready for the world. It's ready
It's ready.
to be a
You got it.
player. Yeah, yeah,
You got it.
yeah.
It is ready now.
Very good. All right.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yep.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, no, no,
No, no,
no.
no. I
You
was gonna say that definitely you hit the nail on the head when you say the maturity, right? Um, um, I think that 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 regardless of politics, regardless of everything else, the social maturity now it's there, right? The professional base ground that you need to
Yes,
create the
yes,
infrastructure, right? To create
exactly.
the
Yeah,
markets, to create the opportunity is there, right? And it's
yeah.
not only one country, it is not only one section in Latin America, the whole area. It's now more cohesively ready to do that. There will always be differences, there will always be differences in opinion, but the focus of seeing the area as like I said again and again, land of opportunity, now it's the time.
Yes, yes. And you can see that with the Andean Pact. You can see that with the Pacific Alliance. Not so much with Mercosur, unfortunately, but the Andean Pact. I'm so happy to see the progress they're making. And for listeners, the Andean Pact is the trade bloc of the Andean countries: Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Venezuela, of course, is not part of it for obvious reasons, but it's an Indian country that used to be part of the Indian Pact. But now there's, and this is news. I mean, this just happened last month. There is free circulation of people. There is recognition of academic titles. I mean, diplomas. Uh, you can move freely with just one ID card among all these countries. You can live in Peru tomorrow if you're a Colombian. If you're an Ecuadorian, you can live in Bolivia tomorrow without any immigration red tape or anything. So that says a lot about what these countries are doing together to move ahead. And in
Definitely.
terms of regulatory homogenization. They are putting together for cosmetics and for food products the same set of requirements and everything. And eventually, if you get approval in Bolivia, you're going to get a regulatory approval in Peru or Ecuador automatically. So, and
Yes.
that's fantastic. Eventually, we'll go to drugs and medical devices. And the Pacific Alliance is something similar. And in terms of the Pacific Alliance, you have OECD countries: Chile, Mexico, Colombia, and
Correct.
Costa Rica just became an OECD member in May. So the region is maturing, certainly.
It's showing that, and all of this was due 40 years, but I'm so glad to see it happening, right? I'm so
Yes,
glad to
yeah,
finally see that step, because it works. I mean, when countries decide to join forces, to work together, to agree on basic terms of trade
yes,
ship, basic terms
yeah,
of professional exchange, of you know it really sets the base cement to create something wonderful. So that's again, to continue with the same sentence: land of opportunity, people seeing that, working towards that, governments working towards that. And yes, like you said, the Indian pact opens to things outside of my vertical market, but I see light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
as the lead in my company, instead of saying, oh, they forgot about the medical device. No, no, that's coming, because it just makes sense, right?
Exactly.
So
Makes
I'm
sense.
so glad to see it
Um,
starting, right?
yeah, because one of the problems of the region really is the fragmentation. The region has over 600 million people, is double the size and probably more than the population in the United States. But you have 33 countries, different regulatory pathways, et cetera, different markets. So it's about time that we get our act together. We all get together in the same bus, not different
Yep.
buses. We all
Yep.
get together in the same bus, going to the same place, because we're all going to the same place. Eventually, we'll want
Definitely.
progress and to have the best for our citizens, for our people.
Definitely. As a Latino, I identify
As
with
a,
that. I
yeah,
want the
yeah,
region to progress. I
exactly,
want the
exactly.
region to have the opportunity to show what it can do. Because I know what it can do. We just need to
Yes,
show the
yeah,
world what it can do,
exactly.
right?
And one of the major problems that we're going to address uh, in a second with your product and everything is that patients in Latin America have delayed access to medical innovation. It will probably be 10, 15 years between a product is approved in the United States or Western Europe and that product and the time that that product is available to a patient in Puerto
Yeah.
Rico or in
Yeah.
Peru and Ecuador. And that's sad. I mean, that's unfair because it's the
Completely
same
unfair.
product. It's just a matter of having somebody look the other way and say, hey, there's a market in Colombia and Peru and Chile,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
patients need this too. I mean, they all get sick.
Same humans. Same
Same
humans.
humans, exactly,
Same
exactly. Same
humans.
needs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I agree with that, and that's why I said that people that are in very unique positions, like the one that I find myself, is our
Yeah.
responsibility, especially Latino people that find themselves in in places of power. And I hate to use
Yes,
that word,
exactly,
but it's
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
truly what
yeah,
it is, in
yeah,
places
yeah.
of power to make it happen, right?
Where you can influence
You
decisions.
can
Yeah.
influence the situation, you can work with the governments, you can work with the entities,
Hmm.
you can work with the hospitals, with the distributors, with the everybody
Yes,
that is
yeah,
in that
yeah, yeah,
supply
yeah.
chain of solutions, right?
And also, I'm sure, maybe wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the majority of your team, the board of directors, the investors, people you work with are white Anglo-Saxons or predominantly white Anglo-Saxons. They don't have the same passion and same knowledge about the potential of Latin America that you have. So if you can show them
Yeah.
that, that's in itself a gain for
And in
patients
a
in
lot
Latin
of
America.
in a lot of these cases, if not almost every case, it's not that they don't want to, it's they don't understand,
They don't
right? they
understand.
they, they
Exactly. Yeah.
understand it because they have never been exposed to it. So
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
not it's
Yeah.
not their fault, it's their fault of the circumstances that are around them,
Yes,
right? that
agree.
surrounds
Yeah,
them. So
absolutely
when you
agree.
start talking about the opportunities, passion, opening, about, there's a true chance to not only make great business, but also helps the area overall, which
Exactly.
in terms, the whole continent is the all three of the major areas in Americas will gain out of that, right? So when they hear me passionately talk about the culture opportunity and the possibilities in Latin America, slowly they start to understand, right?
Exactly.
And the language that is universal is when you bring numbers to the table, right? When you start bringing
Of
numbers to the
course.
tables, then everything makes sense, right? And then they were like,
Exactly.
why
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
I heard about this before? It's like, well, because you
Exactly.
didn't give it the opportunity, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's a great way to put it. I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's talk about what you're doing today, Witty. Let's talk about your company, your product, what problem you're addressing, you're solving, and how can patients in Latin America benefit from it.
Oh, great question. like I said at the beginning, right? What at the pandemic, we everybody found themselves, at a halt. Enough time to start thinking and to start reviewing your decisions up to this point, and making sure that you make good decisions for the future, right? So it was a very difficult time, but at the same time, it gave a lot of us the opportunity to hone in. What are we gonna do, right? In my personal case, it was transformational, right? It hit me personally. um, we lost people, close family members. We found ourselves, with family members struggling with being in a confined space. We found ourselves not having access to healthcare in a reasonable way. Everybody's scared about going directly to get the at least even basic checkups, right? Ladies that pregnant ladies that were afraid to go and check themselves, the regular checkups. The same thing with the geriatric patients. The same thing with, I mean, we saw it all, right? So the team got together. We started interviewing, to understand better, interviewing the first responders, the people in the front lines, the doctors working with the situation. They were the ones feeling the situation, and luckily we had a couple of minutes of the time. And after hundreds of interviews, I mean hundreds of interviews, Julio, it was crazy. Um, no, it was crazy, but people were so hit and so in a new space that they were willing to talk to us just because they wanted to vent on what situations they were having. So it was very easy to get these people that were working 20 hours, 24 hours, on some days continuously, to even spare an hour of their time to tell us what was wrong with the system at that point, what they were seeing that was new, right? And what we found out is that if we gave the the healthcare providers, the and when I say providers, is institutions, people, doctors, nurses, first responders, people, everybody in that, if we gave them a tool that can allow them to interact with patients remotely, that will give them the opportunity to manage, to triage, to use resources better, right? The first resource being themselves, and then everything else that gets attached to that, right? um so so Telebionix was born out of all of those interviews, and a common ground. We need to solve the current telehealth and telemedicine approach. We need to improve it. We need to allow remote patient monitoring the best possible way. There is an opportunity to do a product that, yes, it will definitely generate revenue. That's great, but that can impact society, right? So to have that opportunity is kind of, we saw it as once in a lifetime, right? How many people have the opportunity to say, we're going to start a business, by the way, where can impact every life in the globe with this product? I mean, that's an amazing thing to say, right? So that's Remosense. Remosense being our first medical product, and what we did is we filled the gap that is currently existing in your telehealth consultation or remote patient monitoring consultation. As of today, it was what we had today: a great conversation via video call, and that's what we have, and that is great. But if you are the doctor and I'm your patient and I'm telling you all of this information, you're there thinking, gosh, if I had the data, right? Not only what he's telling me, the biometric data, right? To back up what I'm sensing from this conversation, right? And that's what exactly we provided. We provided, like you mentioned at the beginning, a device that is capable of sensing a lot of your vital signs, right? We call them biometrics. So SpO2, or the same thing as blood oxygen levels, the body temperature, the your a digital stethoscope, which is an incredible feat just to have that there, right? And then we are also taking heart rate, and we're also making sure that we have cuffless blood pressure. I mean, that
Mm.
on its own
That's quite an innovation. I mean,
is
that's a
a
breakthrough.
great breakthrough.
Even Apple is working on that.
It's a well, and you know, I have a lot of respect for that team because I worked with that team for a long time. So you know, my hats off. I know what they're capable of. We have the advantage that we're picking up the information where it's best to pick up, right? And that's giving us a little bit of an edge.
Okay, and
Um,
they can only pick it from here.
Exactly. They
Oh, I see
right
your
now they
point.
have it here.
Okay,
We're picking
yeah,
the information exactly
they're
where we can
limited.
take advantage
Okay,
of that
okay,
position in
okay.
the body. Um, and yeah, we work very hard. Um, Usually, a product like this, Julio, takes about 2.5 years, or even 3 years to develop and put together. I cannot stress enough that my teams are either ninjas or special forces, or I don't know what they are, but they are an amazing team that put this together in about 10 months. I mean,
Wow,
in about 10 months,
fascinating.
with every test,
Uh,
with every process, with everything that we could do to confirm that we were going in the right direction. Today, we ended up with an MVP. We went through a proof of concept. We have a minimum viable product today, working toward that FDA approval, and possibly
510K, right?
yeah, and
Hmm.
510K. That's correct. It's a class two device, non-invasive. We're going focus on that UL and CE mark. I mean, we're super focused right now to comply with the regulatory agencies and put this in every home that we can. It will be good business, but it will be a game changer in how countries can provide for their people the health care that is needed. That's I mean, that's a powerful statement. When you
Totally,
have a,
yes, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's a powerful
Yeah.
statement.
Especially in Latin America, where you have these remote locations in the jungle, in the mountains, even in cities.
That
I
is
mean,
correct.
Bogota is a metropolitan area of 10 million people, and traveling, the traffic is hell. So people are stuck in their
Yeah,
neighborhoods or their houses, and the best care is not necessarily where they are. So with
that's right.
this,
That's right.
with the cell phone, and there's a saying now: the cell phone is the new clinic,
Yeah.
right? The cell phone is a new clinic. So if you have devices like this close to where people live, I mean, ideally in their houses, but I don't know if that's going to be possible or not. But at a location close to their house where they can walk to and have access to medical
And
care
even
is
that,
fantastic.
we want to go at every house because we want to make sure that people can tend not only themselves but their families, and
Sure.
give them
Yeah.
a one-to-one access to premium healthcare service. That is not a that's not a luxury, that is a human right, and we need to work for that. We need to give everybody the human right of getting good healthcare, right? And you said Latin American, just real quick. um in the US, in the US, 47% of the people in US, 47% of the
Which is a
people
big
live
number. Yeah.
in rural areas,
Hmm. Wow.
away from
Hmm.
healthcare.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they're not in any
Yeah.
advantage in this thing. We're all in this
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. We
have
don't
the
have to
same
go that
problem.
far to Peru to
They
put
have
this
the
together.
same problem. They're not
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Bogota.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not far
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Argentina. It's the same problem. People, yes, 53% work are in cities with an overcrowded city, by the way. But then you have 47% that are 20 miles plus away from the closest medical
That's true.
services.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. And regardless, even if you're in a major urban area, you still want to be at home with your family. I mean, you are between Zoom calls. Everybody's working remotely. I mean,
The convenience, right?
the thought of getting out in your car, waiting for the doctor to come to you in a waiting room in a hospital, in a small clinic. I mean, yeah,
And
that's
it's
that
easy for
convenient.
us, Julio. It's easy for us because it will be that for us. It will be for us. We'll be sitting on a car, going there,
Yeah,
sitting in
we
the
have an
office.
option. Some people don't even
But
have that option. Yeah,
imagine those that do not, and
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
those
yeah,
that
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah, yeah,
very delicate health conditions. That
yeah,
if they
yeah,
go to
yeah,
these
yeah,
offices, they get exposed to other things that
yeah,
they
yeah,
shouldn't.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, agree,
Like I
agree.
said, in geriatrics, in the case of my dad, I wish I had this already solved before my dad passed away, because my mother, which she's old as my dad, 74 years old, and taking my dad was an Alzheimer patient, and as everybody knows, as soon as you take a patient like that and you put them on a new environment, the it's so difficult to manage a patient. Imagine for a 74-year-old to manage a patient that is seeing himself completely lost, right? Just to get a regular biometric checkup, check your
Yeah,
pressure, check your temperature.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't
that's
have to travel half an hour, and go through that
yeah,
ordeal to
right,
take
right. There are
a
alternatives, and
biomarker.
we
Yeah, yeah.
have the technology for that.
That's true. That's true. And, Willie, another trend going back to Latin America, another trend that we didn't talk about that I've seen, that I've noticed from speaking with people in the industry, is that because of the pandemic, our countries are changing their laws. Just last week, I received the new law of Panama, the Republic of Panama, because I'm working with a distributor that is involved in setting up what the law says. And that law specifically says from now on, we're going to have a nationwide telemedicine system. And this law just passed a few months ago, and they
That
have a
is
year to
correct.
implement this. So
That
other
is
countries in
correct.
Latin America are adapting to this, and this is all because of the pandemic.
That is correct. Digital health. People are seeing digital health as the solution of not finding ourselves in the same predicament, the same situation we did.
Exactly.
I mean, at
Exactly.
least I'm very glad that the people leading the countries uh, got shook up to the point that they say this
Hmm.
cannot happen again. We need to
Yes.
do
Yeah.
something.
We need to use
I
technology.
praise
Yeah.
Panama for taking that
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
was
that's a
impressed. Yeah.
wonderful vision. I hope
Yeah.
that the rest of the countries in Latin America see this. We got the same thing from Germany, for example, such a conservative country, right? Basically pass a law saying digital health is the mission for the country. We're pushing this. We're giving the doctors the power to prescribe digital health, the
Yes.
prescribe
Exactly.
devices, prescribe
Exactly.
the memberships of having the service for telemedicine and remote care, remote patient care. The U.S. also did that. I mean, so for Panama to be in those countries that take the first step, I mean, my hats off. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see that. You see, we are growing. We're growing. The area is growing and understanding that we can take those bold decisions. We don't need to
Yes.
wait for anybody else in the world to take them.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
take those bold decisions and move forward.
Like I like to say, we are upgrading our thinking as a region.
You
We're
got that.
becoming,
You got that right.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
got
yeah,
that right. You
yeah.
got that
We're
right.
becoming
I want to
citizens
see.
of the
I
world.
want to see Latin American 2.0 right now.
I like that. 2.0. Beautiful. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna steal that from you.
It's a Latin
Yes, I'm gonna
American
use that in
2.0
my
now.
podcast. Latin
Yeah,
America 2.0.
we're gonna make a mark. We're gonna make a mark.
All right, Willie, we're close to the end of the show, but before we close, tell us about your plans. What traction are you getting in Latin America? What plans you have? Are you talking to distributors? When are you planning to start selling or getting regulatory approvals in different countries and all that?
Definitely, definitely. We are creating that plan, so I can only tell you that we're super focused in Latin America as a choice. We're making sure that we are getting um, all of the all of the requirements and certifications that will allow us to convert to the local certifications. For example, with this UL and this FDA, we know that we will easily go and go into the Indian Pac countries, that we can go further south into Chile, Uruguay, Argentina, the rest of the countries. We know that once we get that, our path forward is going to be smoother. At the same time, as a company, we're looking for people that know the market, that understand the market, that are willing to promote a product like ours and push it inside those markets. So we're open to have conversations with local distributors that want to talk to us. They can contact me directly. I'm very accessible for this, because it is the main mission. And yeah, we want to start those conversations. And as the lead of the company, I am committed to making sure that this product is available for my Latin American community that deserves that so
Very good.
much.
Very good. Very good. Excellent, Widy. So it's been a great conversation.
Same
Thank
here.
you. Thank you
Of
again for
course.
being the show today. How can people get in contact with you?
They can go directly to our webpage. It says www.telebionix, that's with an X at the end.com. And from there, all of our contact information, it's good. The same thing with LinkedIn. We have a channel there. We also have a YouTube channel, and I think that Twitter and Facebook. So we are trying to spread the message of the company. We want to make it accessible for people. We want people to know what we're doing. We don't want to come up as a surprise in the market one day. We want people to get involved and know our name, so that when we come out there, we are a familiar face, right? And that they trust us with being part of their healthcare solutions at a family and personal level.
And you just got your first round of funding, so you're ready to
I'm
roll. Huh?
super excited. We're ready to roll. We have a lot of work to do. That gives me an immense level of responsibility to my investors,
Absolutely.
making
Yeah.
sure that we have that ROI from them. But not only that, but that we can definitely also work with the founding team and get them to see this happening. Right? Everybody's excited.
Excellent, Widy. All right. Beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much,
much.
Leo.
Bye.
Bye bye.